All right, everybody, welcome to the Chan's Logic Podcast. I've got Jim Palmer on with me today, a special guest. Jim, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself to get this thing kickstarted?
Well, thanks for having me on the program. I'm a 58-year-old, 21-year-old man with a sense of a humor of a 17-year-old. My wife would probably say, but I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. We're in a position now where we're getting ready to do something really big and exciting. We sold our house. We put our stuff in storage. We bought a 50-foot boat, and my wife and I and our rescue dog Blue are going to be traveling around up and down the East Coast, working and living on this boat. But the only reason I can do that is I've done the hard work, and I know you're really big on relationships, and I've done that for a long, long time. I've built what I consider to be my dream business. So life's exciting. It's about to get very exciting because we're going to be moving on the boat in about 3 weeks.
Oh, that's incredible. See, it's really neat to see when you finally and if everything finally culminates together and it becomes exactly what you wanted to be. And I think what's really powerful to hear for everybody too is the fact that you don't just end up that way. You're not just some guy who sells a course that claims to help someone make $1 million in 30 days. There's years and years of trials and tribulations and success and failures that lead up to this point to where you're able to do what you want to do and truly live that dream.
It's a really important thing. One of the things I tell people is if somebody says, hey, I'm going to help you create a six-figure business in 48 hours, run the other way. I don't care whether you sell a product or a service. Every single business is built on powerful relationships. I can't think of any business that doesn't need powerful relationships, because that's where trust is and things like that. And I always tell people, I mean, when you met your significant other and maybe your heart went pitter patter and you go, oh my God, I want to go out with her or him or whatever. I mean, did you actually say in the first date, can you marry me and we'll have kids and live happily ever after? I mean, he or she would have run in the other direction. And I think business is a lot like that. It's like, hi Jim, you want to join my coaching program? How can I help you, man? Just give me a lot of money and I guarantee I'll do a good job. I mean, it's really sad to see how many people have really kind of gravitated to what I call a microwave society. It's like, can I just put this in there, hit 30 seconds, shake and bake, and man, I'm just gonna have a killer business. If it was that easy, right? Everybody would be doing it.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the nail on the head there. You can't ask someone to marry you right off the bat or they're going to run away. And same thing in anything you're selling. You have to hold hands for a little bit first. You have to feel each other out. You have to see if you actually like what the other person's doing or what they're selling. And then once you kind of understand what's going on there, then maybe someone will buy something from you, or maybe they'll comment on a post you put out, or maybe they'll care a little bit about what you're doing. And I think the other thing that stems into it's learning to play the game in the long term. Like you were saying, everybody wants to play the short term game. Everybody wants what they want right now versus what I'm doing right now is going to benefit me in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And I know at that point I'm actually going to be living the dream because I didn't really care about the short term because I knew the long term is where I was ultimately going to be.
If you look at every highly successful business channel, you will see they all took the long view. Some people say, well, if I buy this book or this course or get into your program, how quickly can I get an ROI? Now, I say, listen, it'd be immoral and unethical for me to even judge that because there's too many circumstances. But why in the world would you think it's going to happen like in 30 or 60 days, right? If I teach you how to attract a lot of different people to your business, let's say within 30 days, 1,000 people who really need what you have suddenly find you. Do you think you're going to close all 30? No, because people they need to get to know you. They're going to think about it. They're going to maybe sample some of your merchandise and things like that. And then eventually, if enough trust and you develop some rapport, maybe then they're going to make their first purchase and let it go from there. A very good friend of mine, by the way, was in the printing business, Chandler, and printers by and large, it's almost a dying breed in this digital age we live in. But my friend Bobby used to say, I would go after the business card sale even when I lose money on business cards, because everybody thinks you can do a box of business cards for $5 thanks to Vistaprint, right? And
Yeah.
And see, I said, Tell me about that." And he goes, "Well, because I know if I get the order for business cards and I just kill it, I mean, I heap so much love on them, they're going to be like, oh my God, if you did that for business cards, what would you do for our letterhead and our envelopes?" And then I'll get that order. And then I'll say, "By the way, I see that newsletter, or that flyer, or that brochure. Why don't we get a chance to bid on that?" And next thing you know, he says they become a $10 million client because we're printing their books and everything else. But it started with a business card.
That's it. And this stems so well into kind of where we're at in today's world too. It's where can you find where people are at and how can you get in front of them? And how can you do it in a way that's not going to cost them a lot up front or cost them a lot to actually recognize that you exist? And it's like the business cards. It's an easy buy. People are going to love what you do and they're going to buy more from you. Or if you, for example, like if you're putting out content on a daily basis, you put out videos or blogs and you put all this information people can consume for free. And then they start opting into your email list and doing all that. And then all of a sudden now they're comfortable buying your products at a higher price or whatever your rate is.
Yeah. One of the greatest compliments, I'll never forget this. This actually goes back 3 years or so, but I've been doing weekly videos. I started in 2009, so I've been doing them for about 6 years now. Only missed like 3 weeks in 6 years. I've been doing my podcast, like I mentioned, for about 5 years now. Been doing content, social media. My seventh book is about to come out, so I've been doing a lot of different things. And no matter who your avatar is, your perfect prospective customer, if what they have in common, let's say, married, 42, 2.3 kids, whatever that looks like, I guarantee all those people, even though they have all those things in common, they will most likely consume information in a different way. So if somebody likes to read a book, for example, well, do they prefer Kindle now? Do they like to hold a paperback? Do they just want to read a PDF online book? Or maybe they want to listen to an audiobook? I mean, that's like 4 or 5 things that just fit under the book category, right? And
Yeah.
so about 3 or 4 years ago, I'm at a big seminar, and somebody that I've been kind of corresponding with over 6 months or so was interested in my coaching program, and so we're sitting down on a break, out a couple chairs out there in the lobby, and he says, "Yeah, let's do this. I'm ready to go." He says, and so I shake hands, and, "Okay, we'll get you going," and blah blah blah. So we're walking back, and he pats me on the back. He goes, "Jim, you know what? I've been watching you jump off the dock for like 4 years now." Uh, it's not available anymore, although if you go to the archives. But back before I switched over my strategy with videos, I used to do like 5 to 7 minute videos, and I had a produced beginning where I was on a dock and I talk about a boatload of smart marketing, and then I jump off the dock into the water just for fun. And so that's what he said. I've been watching you jump off the dock. Now, the point in telling you that story is I had to build that relationship with that guy over several years, most of it without me being aware of who he even was. And then when we did meet, he felt like he knew me, and we had a bit of a relationship started. So there's a lot of things you can do, but even with the power of video and podcasts and all these different things and webinars, people still need to get to know you and have trust develop.
That's it. And it's funny, the way you kind of talk about how that worked is everything leads into something leads into something. So it's, you start off with your videos and people, like you're saying, the human psyche works in a way that people consume content in several different mediums. So it might be audio, it might be reading, it might be video, and it might be something new that, or like video messaging or any of that stuff, FaceTime. And all of that content leads into a newsletter, which leads into them coming to a live event or them seeing you somewhere and commenting, "Hey, I saw what you put out. I saw your doc videos. It was incredible. I've been following you for all these years." And that's the ultimate way to drive the relationship. You have to understand that it is a funnel in a way, in that you're driving people forward by giving them information and showing them that you care, and showing them that you're human, and the stuff that you put out is actually relevant and you know what you're talking about, and establishing yourself as an expert.
Yeah, a lot of people fear that when they give away too much content, they say, well, if I give all that content away, they're not going to want to hire me. And it's really quite the opposite. When they really feel connected with you, like they see you in an authentic way as a smart person or capable person, whatever, that makes them want to hire you. And it doesn't, most people do, well, I guess I've just consumed all they have to offer. No, they actually want to do business with you because you've kind of gone out there and proven yourself and shown yourself to be a giver.
Exactly. People say, why would you give out all your information for free? And you say, well, because I'm helping them right now. and later they're going to have it all, but they're not going to know how to put it together. So they're going to want to hire me, the person who's the expert at what they're trying to do, to put it all together for them. And it's build the relationship, and then they want you to structure it for them.
So just a real quick funny story, because as you and I are talking, Chandler, I literally this morning wrote the last chapter of my next book, and I wrapped it all up. But I told a story in there. The book is called Just Say Yes, by the way, and I told a story of how sometimes you have to just say yes to something that looks like it works based on other people doing it, other successful people. And it's another expression is, just jump and spread your wings on the way down type thinking. And I told a story that, when I started speaking in around 2009 timeframe, my dad, who was a fairly successful businessman, but he's 83 now, so clearly a different era, he would say, so what's going on this week? I said, I went down to Houston. I gave 2 talks in Houston. Oh yeah, did you earn some money for that? I said, no, they don't pay me. He goes, well, did they cover your expenses at least? I said, no, I paid my own way. And of course, I got to pitch some of my programs and stuff. And he just couldn't grasp that. Now, again, part of it's just a different mindset, but I have gotten more business for people that were in audiences where I've spoken and without being paid than I ever would have made if they had paid me some kind of a keynote fee or something like that. So there's always 2 different ways to look at things. Now, I guess the reason I just brought that up is we talked about giving away free information. Well, if I fly myself to Houston and give out 2 talks where I don't get paid, now I did get to sell some of my stuff, but if I didn't get paid, why in the world would I do that? Because I'm now in front of, in one case it was 30, in another case it was like 70 people, and most of those people in the audiences were prospective clients. So whether they're meeting me for the first time and start following my newsletter, start watching my videos, maybe they bought a book or something like that. I call that planting seeds. Like if a farmer wants to have a big harvest, Chandler, he's got to go out there and prep the field, plant the seeds, and then nurture those seeds so that eventually enough of those seeds are going to produce a harvest. So that's a long answer to some question I'm sure we just talked about.
Yeah, that's a great story. It's huge. And it's the idea that what I'm doing today by speaking I'm not going to make a living off of speaking, but I'm going to use that to move people into my funnel down the road and get that humanistic connection, because nothing beats the personal connection with people. And I think that's why things like social media are so powerful now. You have the ability to get like literally front and center with people all the time. So on videos, you can do live, like Facebook Live is huge right now because people like to see you in the moment. Like you mess
Yeah.
up on there, now you're actually human, and they see, oh, you have flaws, you're humanistic, you have characteristics that aren't perfect like the media always portrays these influencers having.
Yeah, authenticity is really huge. And I learned that when I started doing videos in 2009. That's when that Kodak flip cam came out, and suddenly everybody had a $125 camera and was shooting videos. And I thought, well, I wasn't really comfortable, and I didn't really want to do it, but I figured, well, I better get on the bandwagon. And I thought, that's kind of when I was starting my coaching program. I thought, well, if I'm going to be a business coach, I better look and sound professional, not like my usual, just laugh at Adam Sandler jokes type person, right? And so when I started doing the videos, I'm like, hey, it's Jim Palmer. I want to share with you a good tip, and I'm kind of like looking professional. Not that I put on a suit because I don't wear suits, but I was just trying to carry that off, and it felt so unnatural, Chandler. And then I started doing something about 3 months in, because at the time we lived near a lake, and I went kayaking. So I remember I got this little tripod, and I put it in the cup holder in the little cockpit where I sit, and I started shooting videos on the lake, figuring there'd be a little bit of a entertainment value, something other than standing in front of your bookcase, right? So I'm getting in my kayak, and it's not easy to get in a kayak because they're very tippy until you're sitting in them, and I slipped, and I fell in the water, like my butt and kind of up to my stomach went in the water, and I held the camera up in the air, so I saved that. Well, I start doing the video, and it was only like April, so it was kind of chilly. And I'm doing the thing, I'm talking, and the little voice in my head, and I know everybody's got one, but the little voice in my head said, tell them what just happened. And so I'm talking about some business lesson. I said, hey, I just want to share with you, I fell in the water. I said, I'm actually quite cold, but you know what? The show must go on. And instead of getting like 3 to 5 likes or something, I suddenly got like 20, and I got a bunch of comments. People were like, hey, did anybody film that? Are we going to see it on Funniest Home Videos? And it occurred to me at that moment that people cared so much less, at least comment wise. They cared so much less about what I deemed to be smart wisdom, business building stuff, but they cared and connected with me when I showed the human side of me, as you say.
That's it. That's it's being human, and I think we're moving into a world where people like it when they see people who are similar to them, and so it's like you falling in the lake. The other day, I had a flying squirrel on my shoulder, and I did a whole video. It was like a 7 minute video with the squirrel, and it had the most views of any video ever. People were commenting about it. Nothing about the information, but everything about how entertaining the squirrel was running around me the whole video. And it's just that idea that you have something that makes you a little bit different, shows that you're humanistic and that you care about something, and it makes you unique. And I think we're missing that in a lot of the way the corporate world is marketing things.
Yep, exactly. You know what? Even there's this thing B2B or B2C. So it's like types of businesses, business to consumer or business to business. All business is people business. So even if you're a corporation, like if I was to call, I had to make a call to the people who made my boat because I needed a part. Giant corporation to be sure, but I'm talking with a human being and how that person reacted and talked with me and made me feel better and this, that, and the other thing. That's the connection. Even though it's this gigantic multi-million dollar corporation, I got to talk with I think her name was Sue in the parts department. And Sue did a really good job just connecting with me and actually kind of bonding with me, love of boats, things like that. And that's what really drives business is, have you ever gone to a restaurant? My wife and I, like when we raised 4 kids, and for the most part, she was a stay-at-home mom, aka we didn't have any money, just a life choice we made. So once in a while, we'd take our family of 6 out to dinner. We'd order a large pizza, ask them to cut it in 16 slices so everybody got more than one slice. But we're making up for it now. We go out to dinner probably 2 or 3 times a week. But anyway, we like to go around to different places, and we like our mantra is we don't like to go to chain restaurants. We go to, like, individually owned mom and pop type restaurants. And it's almost, I guess most people would call this the Norm effect from Cheers. Norm, like when we walk in and somebody goes, "Hey, how you doing, Jim and Steph?" And the typical one place we were going to quite frequently, we'd always get the same waitress. She goes, "Jim, are you going to get rack of ribs again, or are you going to try something different?" Like she knew I mean, when we think about where we want to go out to eat and spend 40 or 50 or 60 bucks, whatever it is, I mean, that weighs so heavily on our decision because we enjoy going there. We feel appreciated. They know us. If business today could just do more of that, I'm telling you that their sales would take off.
Oh, it'd be a huge win. I think that's why we're starting to see a lot of these small startups exploding because they start this startup culture where they care about people. They take that extra step to make the experience exactly what the customer wants to see and take care of the customer and really build that culture of caring and not focus on what's been the norm for the past probably 20 years of outsourcing to save money. And I always say if you outsource to save a couple of dollars now, you're going to lose a lot down the road when you have a lot of people who hate you.
Yeah, that's very short-sighted. One of the videos I did talked about this. I think you'll get a kick out of the title, but I called it "Dating After Marriage." Holy smoke, I got a big return on that. But I think when you're dating somebody, you're on your best behavior, you're trying to score points and win some favor and build trust. And then, I long a year or two, whatever goes by, and you get married and you still love each other, but now you're spending every day and night together. You go to work, you come home, you're always there. You start getting a little bit of maybe taken for granted if you want. Not that I'm going to diagnose relationships but in business, you got the dating period. So somebody stops in your store for the first time. Oh, you got your best foot forward, right? I mean, are you not helpful and smiling and trying to, because you're thinking, I want to win a sale, right? So you're trying to win the business, and then if they do buy something, that's kind of the equivalent of consummating the deal, like getting married. And next thing you know, the average small business owner, especially, they immediately turn their attention to the next new customer instead of proactively managing the relationships they already have. Because I tell you this, there's more money in customer retention than there ever will be in customer acquisition. So when you get a customer, whether it's by way of your marketing or a referral, you owe it to your business to do everything possible to maximize the profitability of each and every customer relationship you have. And that means being proactive about staying in touch with them and showing appreciation and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things that is given the least importance by a lot of businesses. It's the fact that when someone purchases something from you now, it's your job and your responsibility to maintain contact, like you're saying, get in front of them all the time, and not be in sales or anything, just checking in with them. Like, hey, how did you like what you purchased? How are things going right now? What can we do? You want to jump on a phone call? Do we need to talk about anything? Just things like monthly check-ins, doing webinars with these guys, Facebook Live, anything you can do just to get yourself front and center with your current customers. And then a strategy you can do to kind of take care of the new customers is you put a lot of the content out that you create for your current ones and out for your ones who haven't purchased from you yet. So I think it's a strategy where you maintain your main focus on your current customers at all times, and then the ones who haven't purchased from you get all the stuff that you can use outside of that you've already created.
Yeah. I did an interview a couple of weeks ago on a restaurant show. A guy was a restaurant coach. He says, "Well, how does that work in the restaurant business?" I said, "Well, the problem with most restaurant tours is that they think that if you've got a good chef and good wait staff, good location, and somebody comes in and just gets the meal prepared exactly as it's promised in the menu, they think that's enough to get people back. And maybe it is for some people, but when those people leave, just use Stephanie and myself as an example, sometimes we like to go around to different places. But if we received a newsletter and we heard about this new, hey, we got a new dish called X, Y, and Z or whatever, there's different things where they're staying top of mind. Hey, we want to thank you for being a client. We know your first meal was over a year ago. We're going to give you a gift certificate or something. I mean, these are proactive steps to say thank you. Please come back. We want to serve you again, and not just hoping, wishing, and praying that because you serve the meal correctly that they're going to come back.
Yeah, I think the restaurant industry is interesting, and I think they could benefit hugely from something like a newsletter. All you'd have to do is, I would imagine you could make a little video called "Life in the Kitchen," and you record like little tidbits of what's going on in the kitchen, all the craziness, the staff. Do like a 1 minute with the staff member, and then at the bottom, hey, thanks for coming in. We're really looking forward to seeing you again, and then offering them whatever you're going to offer. But using the idea that you can create a humanistic connection in your newsletter and show the current customers that there's real people in the back hustling and moving around and all that, and maybe making them laugh a little bit. I always talk about there's a few tenets to producing good stuff to make your current customers want to keep coming back for more, and that's you educate them, teach them a little bit about what you're doing, showcase what you're doing so they understand what's going on in the process. You have to motivate and inspire them. So put things out that make them feel like, oh, hey, I really need to go see these guys. They're incredible. And then make them laugh. So put some stuff out that showcases the fact that you guys mess around and have fun. They're, like you're saying, the 19-year-old mentality and the 56-year-old body, all of these things that essentially establish that connection and continuously establish that connection with them.
Yeah, self-deprecating humor is very important, especially if you have an entrepreneurial business where you're kind of the main focus. But I'd say even if you're a CEO and you got like 100 or 1,000 employees, self-deprecating humor in that situation is going to be helpful to you too. It's just, if you put yourself on a pedestal and treat yourself like super special, it's a big turn off.
Exactly. Can you imagine a video where the CEO let the employees roast them? Imagine that would be huge. Like, can you imagine like a Fortune 500 company where the CEO just weekly lets a dozen employees just roast them on a Facebook Live or something?
That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, it'd be huge.
I can see a lot of customers watching that.
Yeah, it'd be huge. I think that would be one of the most powerful things they could do, and they'd be like, huh, the CEO is not this guy who sits on a pedestal and is perfect. He's real and he's human. He's not getting mad. He's having fun with his employees, and it looks like he cares.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's just establish the humanistic connection, take care of your people, showcase the fact that you're a little goofy and you're a little funny, and then maintain constant contact, and you'll win.
Yeah, yeah, that's not just the name of a company. That's a really good motto. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
definitely.
heard there is a statistic from the Direct Marketing Association which says every 30 days that goes by and your customers don't hear from you, 10% of them will forget your name. That should
Oh
scare
yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, 100%. It's like in education, everything you learn, you're only going to retain 10% of it. And same thing in business there. If you're not in front of them all the time, you're forgotten because there's so many other people doing it.
Exactly.
And that brings up another idea. It's you can talk all you want, but until you decide you're going to start actually doing stuff and actually executing on what you're talking about, you're never going to move forward.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about you're 100% right. If you're not moving the ball forward, it ain't going forward. But
Yeah.
you reminded me the video that I told you about when I fell in the lake. I'll never forget this. That video was called Ideas versus Action. And I basically summarized and said, listen, everybody's got a great idea, but very few people actually get into action and implement the stuff. It's kind of funny you brought that up.
Yeah, it's perfect. It totally makes sense. It's everybody always says, "Hey, I could do that better than that guy," and then I always tell them, "Well, are you actually doing it?" No. Okay, well then he's doing it better than you because
Yeah,
he's
or
actually
people
executing.
say, yeah, I had the idea for the pet rock. Well, somebody else actually acted on that idea, so too bad you're not a billionaire.
Yeah, you lost out on that idea.
Yeah.
So this has been pretty good so far. I like to wrap it up with three things that you think that three ideas you have that could benefit people listening to this. What do you think are the three most important things?
Rapport, relationships, which is kind of obvious 'cause that's what we've been talking about. But
Yeah,
again, every business is built on relationships. And rapport is something that helps get the relationship going, but rapport is also it's kind of like the before, the during, and after, if you want to think of it like that. And rapport needs to be a key part of that throughout all three stages of the relationship. But I guess the third one, I'll stray off the R theme here. The third one, though, Chandler, is this, and I don't care what kind of business you have, you as an entrepreneur will earn significantly more money for who you are and not what you do. What you do, which is the deliverable product or service, whatever you do to earn money, that is nowhere near as important as it is the person that you are, the relationship that you have, the brand and the identity and the positioning that you have in the marketplace. That is way more important than just simply perfecting what it is you do.
that's huge. I think that third point was one of the best ones you made. It's be human, establish a connection, and be real. And people
Yeah.
will really react off that, and they'll really care about you. I mean, you'll create a culture of raving fans. Like I saw Costco the other day in the news, they raised their membership prices $5, and Costco has such a cult-like following. People were commenting on there, "Oh, I'd pay anything to go to Costco. I love that place. They take care of their employees." And that's what you want to happen to your company, and that's a perfect example of point number three.
And you know what else? If I was running Costco, I would have. It sounds like they're okay with that, but what I would have done just to even deflect a little bit, because clearly not everybody's going to be happy, is if the fee goes up $5, so they get charged. But on your next trip in other words, the first trip after you renew, you're going to get a $5 coupon off something. So
Yeah,
think about that. It's a kind of a wash, but you got to do anything you can to get people in the store. It's kind of like if you're in the restaurant business and you do a free meal for somebody's birthday. Nobody comes in for their birthday by themselves. They're going to bring a spouse, a friend, a family, whatever, and there's going to be a lot more money spent than just the money you give away. So I kind of think that's the same thing with Costco. If they had done that, so people will say, well, it's going up $5, but I'm going to go in and get $5 off my next purchase. But what just happened? They probably spent $80 or $120 at Costco, and that keeps the whole relationship alive.
that's it. Give a little to take a little, and always give a little more than you're going to take. And by doing that, people are going to end up purchasing more from you in the long run just because they care about you. And Costco is an example. $5 is going to net a couple hundred on a typical Costco trip.
Exactly.
All right. So thanks for being on the Chan's Logic podcast, Jim. How can people get a hold of you? Or how can people find
My
out more about you?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. My main website is getjimpalmer.com, www.getjimpalmer.com, and from there they can, find the podcast, the videos, my different programs, products, books, etc.
All right, everybody, go check out getjimpalmer.com. I'll post this up on my blog in a couple of weeks, and you guys can see that in the show notes as well. Thanks for being on, Jim. Any last words before we head off?
Just say yes.
I love it.
Title of my new book. Yeah, it's a plug, but it's also one hell of a mantra as an entrepreneur. Just say yes.
Exactly. Don't be a no man.
Yeah, man. There you go.
All right. Thanks for being on the podcast.
All right. Take care, Chandler.
Yeah, and you as well.